As he said there, if you do have a look, see your county's not been filled in, please try and fill whatever you can in. That's the potential to be a sort of modern day ICT sort of doomsday book in a way, because of how useful that is to people. Right, let me move on. We should have no problem in fitting everybody in. And it's Peter Twining.
I have to say, I am used to technology not working. I brought 2 laptops, the batteries are flat on both. So I'm going to see what I can do on the web. Okay, and I have to say I'm really nervous about this. I'm not used to audiences where I've been drinking before I start talking. And I'm not used to being in situations where people throw things at me. Usually they just fall asleep or walk out of the room. But luckily I do have the button to help me when I get stuck and get really nervous. Obviously I wanted to talk a bit about learning, and when I think about learning I think about the Scone Park programme. Scone Park programme, we brought a couple of hundred 13 to 60-year-olds into an island in Teen Second Life, and we kind of set them up. They knew nothing about each other except their name. We had boys who had girls' names and girls' avatars. We had all sorts of interesting things going on, but the point was they were kind of on a level playing field and weren't being judged by their physical world appearance. We tried to set up an environment in which everyone was equal and had equal status, and we gave the kids ownership of the island. So they set up a governance structure, they set up the rules for how it's going to be managed, and they ran it. Of course, I was the benign dictator, but you know, dictatorship is the way to go, I have to tell you. So I want to tell you about some of the things that came out for me, because what we were doing in Scone Park was trying to get ideas about what education could be like, visions for what education could be like. And it's really tough getting people to think about that. And so we started analysing what was happening in terms of, what are the key dimensions of learning or practice that we need to concentrate on that are different here to what we've experienced in other environments. And we're kind of familiar with some of these things. If I talk about learning about, we're doing this now, I'm spouting at you and you're sitting there listening. It's okay, but use the right button. We know about learning by doing, but in schools, learning by doing is often decontextualised. So I do science in school, and it's not real science. Because in real science, you don't know the answer before you start out, and you don't get it wrong and have to do it again, because the teacher knows you've done it wrong. So it's decontextualised. In Scone Park, we did a lot of doing, and some of it was decontextualised and some wasn't. So we had things like people filming each other doing things. And I'll just show you one of the films that the kids made. Hang on, go back, technology, I hate you. You scare me. Go back. As you get older, do you get worse at it? Because I do. It absolutely terrifies me these days. I've actually got an apple, I've bloody got a £5,000 apple under my desk, which has been there a month, and I'm scared to turn it on because I know it's going to be hard. Even though it's an apple. This was made by the kids. It's a machinima, filmed in World, with help from someone called Pigment, who in the real world is Britta Pulmulla. And it's the story of the Hindenburg disaster. But the point is, they wrote the scripts, they did the filming, they built a lot of the props, they acted it out. Actually, I think Britta cut this one, I think, and did the soundtrack, so the kids do an awful lot of activity. So you can do stuff in Second Life. Let's stop that. And Britta was teaching them about media studies. She was teaching them about film and about how you get atmosphere and effect. They wrote the scripts to get the gestures and animations and stuff in. I'll click on the stop button because otherwise it'll carry on playing a whole load of other films. Okay, so we looked at some of those things, and learning by doing is great. Learning through role play is really interesting, and we do quite a lot of this in education. I had a big challenge in Scone Park when a child approached me who I knew was 13 and said, "Will you give me away?" I said, "What do you mean, will you give me away?" She said, "I want to get married." And I said, not sure. Everything has to be PG in the teens with a Second Life. So I said, "Is it PG?" And she said, "Have you never been to the cinema, Peter? People get married in PG films." And so I thought, yeah, okay, they do. I could still see the headline on the front of the Daily Mail, Head of Education Department at the Open University gives away 13-year-old girl to a brain in a jar. And she was wanting to marry someone who looked like a brain in a jar. So this discussion carried on. I did talk about, my concerns about the publicity aspects and this being closed down. And after about a week of discussion, and we're using a forum and a wiki and Teen Second Life, and they're all kind of linked together. After about a week of discussion, the groom said to me, "Peter, you do realise it's only pretend, don't you?" They got married. And it was great. The entire community got involved. They built the car, which they flew in the car. They had the whole kind of place for the wedding ceremony with chairs. They had the camera person filming the whole ceremony. They had music playing in the background. I'm running out of time, so I won't tell you more about the wedding. I'll go on to the next thing, which is over here, which is about learning by becoming, because this is the thing that's really powerful. And it is something that I don't think we do much of in education. And for us, the best example of this is within Teen Second Life, you have a limit of how many things you can have on an island, how many prims. And we exceeded it within about 2 weeks. So there's a real need to have some rules about how do we decide what's allowed to be built and what isn't, and who gets to choose. So the kids set up a planning department. You have never seen so much red tape. But I tell you what, if you hadn't got planning permission, they went round, they stuck a notice on your building saying they're going to delete it. And you had a week to get planning permission. And if you didn't get planning permission, they deleted it. And I tell you what, if you'd spent 20 hours building something and someone came along and deleted it, that was real. And I tell you what, if you're the planning officer who deleted it and someone came and talked to you about deleting their building, they spent 20 hours building, that was very, very real. And the level of engagement and the sorts of discussions that took place were very different and much deeper than happened within the role-play activities. It was very rich. So I would say to you, think about reality, think about how we get the becoming, actually doing, not pretending, but actually doing into our education, because you have a much deeper level of engagement. Okay? And I'd suggest to you, we need to stop thinking about virtual and real, and we need to think about physical and virtual, because they're both real. And actually, a lot of the time educationally, what you can do in a virtual space is realer than what you can do in your classroom. At that point I shall shut up, say get a life, and just remind you that there is an area in the Vital community where you can carry on discussion about this TeachMeet afterwards, and where the videos will be available and that sort of stuff. Thank you very much.